Hello, community team! This is Caroline, the only true rival to Jon Snow, and this is InterSpew. I'm joined this week by Blake of Fishing and Game Report YouTube channel, which is taking off really well. So, hiya, Blake.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Awesome. So, where did you get the idea for the channel?
Well, something that's been in my head all the time when I was growing up playing video games, I always seemed to be distracted by the fishing mini games in there. I didn't play a lot of like dedicated fishing games. Whenever there's a game out there that has some sort of fishing in it or something like that, I just have to go in and explore it. It's like I can't be the only person that's interested in this.
Yeah.
And I think back to my childhood. I know my dad used to watch these like fishing shows on TV. And I
Fishing
figured
shows.
like Roland Martin and Bill Dance, probably like two people know what I'm talking about. Anyway, anyway, I figured like why not make a machinima series out of fishing? But then I thought, oh, that's just probably staring at a bobber. What if I made it a comedy series and had some fun with it, and not be about fishing games, but like all the different video games out there with fishing? And I figured, yeah, that's something I could do. So I'm on the third episode of that, and thinking about making more.
That's awesome. Was there any particular mini game that inspired it?
Any particular one? I mean, it's one of those things when you think about all the video games out there that have fishing in it, whether it be like MMOs like EverQuest and World of Warcraft. You look back at the first Fable. The first Fable had fishing in it. I have no idea why there's in it, but it was in there. So it appeals to a lot of people. And I think that aspect of gaming is something that we can kind of like exploit and make content around.
So, what's your setup?
I record on Fraps, an official licensed version. I
Good boy.
record a headset. First one was like a cheap microphone. Then I realized after draping a blanket over my head to kind of reduce the audio quality that's coming from the ambient sound in the house, like air conditioners and stuff like that. Like, I gotta get a better microphone. So I got a better microphone for episode 2.
Sweet. What headset do you use?
The second one was a Triton. The other one's called like Game One headset. Actually got it from my father-in-law who gifted it to me. It was pretty nice. I had no idea what the quality of it was until I started recording with it, and I checked out like, oh my god, I am crystal clear. This is great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Has the Rooster Teeth community done anything to help or hinder your production?
I basically would kind of been down under the radar for a couple episodes and just posting it whenever I make some. I've gotten a few positive comments, but if I can really work on getting exposure, that would be great. I'm hoping to do a kind of a if you build it, they will come. I mostly done it for my own hobby, my own interest, teaching myself the ins and outs of video editing and what it's like to make video content. And I've learned so much. It was a great experience. So personally, it's always been a success. But if I can get exposure and people can enjoy the content that I find enjoyable, that'd be even greater.
What are you hoping to put your new knowledge towards?
Probably a standalone machinima channel, gain some following, kind of produce content that other people enjoy, and kind of impact their daily lives. Something they can come and go to YouTube and check out the new episode. Just be a part of other people's lives.
Would it be like an ongoing narrative, or?
Sorry, there was a mild avalanche of candy from Halloween.
Good lord. That sounds like the best avalanche.
Yeah. It's raining candy. Okay.
Woohoo!
What's the question? I was totally distracted.
No, it's fine. Would you be doing like an ongoing series that has like a storyline, or would you be working like episode to episode?
It's kind of like a meta existence in each episode, to where, like, if one episode's Minecraft, another episode's Pokemon, and the third episode is Far Cry. It's like putting yourself in the game, like trying to create each game as its own universe, and trying to go along with that as far as the putting aside your suspension of disbelief. So
Cool. If we have any listeners that don't already watch the show, what would you want to tell them?
More content is coming. I have a Patreon that would help boost the quality. Like, any donations would go directly to the project, meaning better equipment. I would get creative content made and be able to pay them and not just promise quote unquote exposure to artists out there. I'd like to actually commission artwork by people and pay them real money, get equipment, software just to make the show better, software titles, game titles, stuff like that.
As far as machinima goes, what would be your dream to like happen for it?
Um, Probably have like a clan of fishermen in an MMO. Like have like I believe in World of Warcraft there's always that weekend fishing tournament, which was notoriously hard to achieve because it was essentially a multiplayer achievement where you have to be the first to whether it was the Stranglethorn Vale fishing tournament or the Northrend fishing tournament, you had to be the very best that weekend to win and get the achievement. I would love to like have a following of fishermen uh, zealots that would be all about the fishing and keep them winning. And like every time a new MMO comes out or anytime a new game comes out, be like, oh, we got to check out the fishing in this.
Do you think that would inspire game designers to add more fishing mini games?
Yeah, I think there's actually been a little bit less because I know Guild Wars 2 came out. I was surprised there was no fishing in it. And I think there's like a small community of people. It's like, why isn't there fishing in this MMO? There's fishing in all other MMOs.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they could add more fishing to games, that'd be great.
What was the first game you played that you can remember that had something like this in it?
I would have to say it was the MMORPG Ultima Online, mid to late 90s. That was my first game, and fishing on there was just unique because that was a unique MMO altogether. It was open sandbox MMOs, which are few and far between these days when it comes to MMOs that try to be the next WoW killer, the next WoW. It's always the theme park MMOs that say, oh, you pick your one character and you bid that character and you level up that character as a hero. Games like Ultima Online and even Star Wars Galaxies, which has fishing in it, by the way. Star Wars is weird. It's always been like you are a citizen of this world and you do whatever you want to do. If you want to be a lumberjack, you can be a lumberjack. If you want to be a fisherman or a warrior, do that. And today, MMOs basically have kind of like a fishing mini game that's like a side profession to it when you're not being your hero. But Ultima Online was great. It can have like you are a citizen of this world and do anything you want as a citizen.
So do you prefer things that are more like Second Life, or do you prefer things that are like League?
Set Life.
Second Life. It's.
Oh, Second Life. Oh yeah, you're talking about yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be as shitty of a following as Second Life had, but
the community is one thing behind that. No, it doesn't really matter really to me. Like it could be an MMO, it could be an adventure, it could be a shooter, it could be open world survival game, anything.
Fallout.
Yeah. Hunt down those mire lurks.
Oh man. Has anything interesting happened while you were filming?
The most recent episode, which was Far Cry.
Far Cry.
Far Cry. There was an opening which I talked about, the environment and the habitat and what Kirat is all about. It's one thing that I recorded everything beforehand, and now I just needed to add narration to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I quickly typed out the narration and the script on my phone and be like, okay, I'm going to have to read this as a narration and hopefully afterwards edit it to fit the transitions of the video. So I turned on my headset, started recording, read it all out. The transition worked perfectly. It's like I didn't have to edit a single thing. It's like I will never be able to do this again in a million years.
Serendipity.
Yeah, it's like I have nothing to do. I just move on to the next narration now.
Just pop it into iMovie and move on.
Yeah.
If you had to recommend a machinima series, and it can't be Red versus Blue, what would you recommend?
Ooh, a machinima series. Ooh, a machinima series. There's actually a lot of good possibilities for the different Minecraft machinimas out there. Mm-hmm. It's hard to pick one. Yeah, but I would have to go somewhere in the Minecraft universe for that.
Cool. Would you consider I guess would you consider the new like lore that's coming out of Telltale Minecraft to be canon or
Ooh, I would assume it's like one out of many universes,
yeah.
probably, because every person kind of wants to take possession of their own experience when they play Minecraft. You know, it's their world, their events that happen to them. So, especially since the game came out and there was really no set goals in it, it's kind of like this is your experience, do what you want. Everyone kind of took ownership, so their own world was their own
Episodes
personal.
they're coming out through Telltale.
Um, it's great storytelling, and I think it's one of many universes. Like,
Cool.
my,
What would you say your favorite game developer or like game company is?
ooh, um,
Bethesda.
Bethesda was totally one that popped into my mind. You know, I loved Will Wright before he left Maxis. You know, that would probably be Will Wright version of Maxis before EA took them. I would say is my favorite. I've played lots of Simcopter, and that goes to a shout out to anyone who ever played Simcopter, which was back in the day. Great
Shout
game.
out to 80s kids.
Mm-hmm. Millennials.
Hey, we're awesome.
I'm on the cusp of millennial. I'm technically within the outside boundaries of the millennial generation, so.
I think I'm like right there.
Mm-hmm.
I was 97, so yeah.
Anyone became a productive adult during the millennium, I think.
Oh god, I don't think I can consider that then.
That's a starting point, I would say, and then it goes on from there.
What's your operational definition of adult?
Oh, that's a good one. That's probably the hardest question you've asked.
There is no definition.
No.
If you had to give a quote, what would your quote be? And it doesn't have to relate to anything. It can just be Blake saying things.
Oh, always support and build up the people around you. Even if they surpass you, always support other people.
Sweet. Speaking of which, there's been a lot of stuff going on in at least the Let's Players world, but I guess Machinima would be kind of in this area. How do you feel about ad block?
People like sharing ad block or telling other people ad block probably isn't helping the situation. If you personally use ad block, I'm not gonna like hold it against you.
I will. Don't worry.
I have no animosity toward people who use ad block because I kind of understand, but at the same time, people need to make that money.
Yeah.
So there's alternatives, I guess. I mean, there's Patreon, there's Kickstarter, there's direct tip jars via PayPal and stuff like that. So why bother having to watch a commercial for a product you may or may not enjoy?
Mm-hmm.
But when there's other ways you can directly help the people that you enjoy.
What about YouTube Red?
Good luck with that. What that's ultimately going to lead down the road, because it's always going to be the first step towards something bigger. So who knows?
Let's all head to Vimeo.
Yeah, it's possible.
What do you see in the future for either machinima makers or just gamers in general?
I think Machinima is going to have a smaller but still dedicated following. But I think the real future of it's probably going to be using tools where 3D models to acquire from video games have become very easy. So when you bring in 3D models from, say, Blender or Unity or any other of those movies capture software, you could pretty much use the game engine as your own set and not have to depend on playing a game per se. You can make them do the animations that the game never intended you to make. And while I think, like I said, Machinima is probably still going to have a following, I think the ability to bring in 3D models like Source, Filmmaker will allow people to do more with video game assets, which I guess expands the definition of Machinima.
So you see it headed in kind of a like mixed media direction?
Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Okay. I'd have to say that if you're creating content, whether it be on YouTube or anything else, I would say just keep cranking out that content. Do it for yourself. always teach yourself new skills, because in the end, that's what really makes you a valuable person, is the things you learn from your experiences.
Sweet. So you heard it here, folks. Talking to Blake from the Fish and Game Report. And that's it for InterSpew this week. Join us next week for more shenanigans.